Aidan Chiles looked pretty good on Saturday night in that win against Boston College, but when we dive deep into the numbers here, it might even be more impressive somehow.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today to start planning your futures bets right now. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, how on earth are we all doing to kick off a nice old-fashioned victory week right here in East Lansing? Thanks a lot for making Locked On Spartans part of your game week routine right here in the Locked On Podcast Network. Please rate, review, subscribe, comment below just how impressive Aidan Chiles was on Saturday night, because yes, we're going to do a deep dive into the numbers. We're going to look at, hey, did any concerns start to bubble? Was the pass protection actually better than any of us thought? Did we take anything away from the defense? And I'll say, what did Jonathan Smith say at today's media availability? And let's just get the most important thing out of the way. He said that no long-term injuries came from the Boston College game. Oh, Spartan fans, look at us. We're 2 games into the season, and knock on wood, no just devastating season-ending injuries, plural, just yet. What a far way we've come from the last few years here. But guys, look, Pro Football Focus, I enjoy that website. Maybe you enjoy that website. They come up with a lot of great numbers. And it's not just, their player ratings that they have, which is a little arbitrary. They actually have some hard, concrete numbers that we're going to take a look at because, hey, Saturday night was a lot of fun. Big must-win game for our Michigan State Spartans. Aidan Chiles, how about that for a possible coming-out game? Just 5 touchdowns to his name. Looked outstanding. But man, guys, when you start to look at the numbers that Pro Football Focus has, you're going to enjoy Saturday night even better. Now, we're going to start off with, something that was an issue for Aidan Chiles and this team, specifically in the first half of last season. And of course, we're talking about the turnovers, the interceptions, the fumbles. Heck, even last week against Western, we put the ball on the floor twice during that game. So, guys, let's take a look at what Chiles did in 36 dropbacks. He had zero turnover-worthy plays. That's a stat that Pro Football Focus chalks up. Now, he had a handful of those, maybe handfuls of those in the first 6 weeks of the season last year. But, guys, if you haven't seen his growth and maturity with the ball starting last week against Western Michigan, if you didn't see it in the first half, right there, 36 dropbacks, never put the ball in harm's way. And it gets even better than that, guys, because, look, accuracy has been somewhat of an issue with Aidan Chiles. Slowly but surely getting a little better at that, especially with the intermediate throws, which wasn't a guarantee last year. So when you go to passes that were inside of 20 yards, which, by the way, like a 14-yard pass down the field, that's still got to go a ways through the air, guys. Like that ain't no pitch and catch. Aidan Chiles on throws within 20 yards, he was 17 of 18 on Saturday night. Not too shabby. And what do we talk about going into that game? Is okay, he's got to get a little better at reading hot routes when he's being blitzed upon or when pressure gets to him. This pass protection also has to get a little bit better at keeping our guy on his feet, making sure he doesn't have to scamper out of the pocket immediately. And guys, we also suspected this too. This is from our conversations with AJ Black of Locked On Boston College. This is just from seeing what Boston College did week 1 against lowly Old Fordham, and that was blitzing their defense until the offensive line turned to smithereens. That is indeed what Boston College did. Aidan Chiles was blitzed on 21 of his 36 dropbacks. And guys, all that he did whenever he was blitzed, he threw for a 73.3% completion percentage, and all 4 of his touchdown passes came when Boston College was sending the blitz to Aidan Chiles. So that's obviously credit to the man himself, the guy with the rocket arm, but also, and we're going to get into this in a little bit more here, the pass protection on those plays. So, hey, real good growth from Chiles, from the offensive line when it comes to defending against the blitz. Now, it wasn't just everything that he did with his arm, but let's keep on talking high about our guy for a little bit because his legs were also a massive factor in this game. Goes without saying, of course, extending the plays on third down. But, guys, did you know that he had 8.0 yards after contact last week? If you take all the week 2 players in Division I football, and this was a minimum of 3 carries, okay? I don't want some guy having 1 carry and just some statistical anomaly. So for all players, we're talking running backs, we're talking receivers, we're talking quarterbacks, they had a handful of carries. Aidan Chiles was 12th in the nation at yards after contact. He also forced 6 missed tackles. That was 21st best in the nation amongst all players in Division I last week. That ain't too shabby. That's not bad for a run. That's actually really good for a running back. That's even more extraordinary for a quarterback. So yeah, Aidan Chiles, those legs are a weapon. He showed that in spades on Saturday night. And let's keep talking about the run game, not just with Aidan Chiles, but the run game as a whole. Aidan Chiles, hey, you know what? 7 of 10 on play action. 3 touchdown passes came off play action. And that goes back to what Jack Velling was saying earlier in the week during media availability. Quite an obvious statement, but one that held a lot of weight. So when you get the run game going, that's going to make play action, well, a lot more fruitful for you, especially when you have, tight end like Michael Masunis, who, like we said on Saturday night, 8 yards off of play action for Michael Masunis, that nice little leaky out route that they do. Yeah, that's more of a guarantee than the sun rising in the east on any given morning. So not too shabby from the play action department, and you get to set up play action when your run game is outstanding. 5.7 yards per carry as a team, and they had 9 runs that went for 10 plus yards. And we also got to shout out specifically the right side of the offensive line, very similar to what we had to do after the Western game. It seems like that's those gaps from center all the way to the outside shoulder of right tackle, whoever's playing that, whether it's Connor Moore. Ashton Lepo got a few snaps there, of course, on Saturday night. But guys, from the right side of the line, 4.9 yards per carry on 15 carries whenever you're running through those gaps. So, hey, again, not too shabby. One thing that we do want to talk about here, pass protection. Because after Saturday's game, there were 3 things that I highlighted as, okay, I'm not really thrilled about this, even in the midst of a win. One of them was the coaching decisions at the end of the first half. At moot point, they still won the game. One was pass protection, and the other, was rushing the passer. We're going to get to that much more in a later segment on this very show. But is it possible, after looking at the numbers, and even after watching the replay of the game last night too, it kind of matches this, that maybe pass protection wasn't as bad as a lot of people, myself included, led on to believe here? Now, again, we're going to go back over to Pro Football Focus as a crutch to help us with these numbers because, hey, I get it. 10 pressures allowed, especially at the end of game drive when it looked like Michigan State was setting up for that game-winning field goal. And then, okay, well, there's a sack given up by the left tackle here. Okay, that maybe left the sour taste in our mouth and wondering, is pass protection still going to be an issue this year? Maybe not when you hear this stat, guys. Did you know? No, of course he didn't. Who could ever possibly know this without looking this up directly? Aidan Chiles led the nation over the weekend in dropbacks with at least 2.5 seconds to throw. The offensive line gave him at least 2.5 seconds to throw on 77.8% of his dropbacks. Now, that comes by combination of course, just the blocking up front. And yes, extending the play with your legs. That does help. It takes 2 to tango for that stat. But also, Aidan Chiles was 3rd in the nation on average time to throw the ball at a whopping 3.7 seconds on Saturday, guys. So, yes, maybe the offensive line, the pass protection, a little bit better. Maybe sometimes the pressure that was brought upon Aidan Chiles, well, maybe it came because holding on to the ball a little too long. No one's ever perfect. Again, still a largely outstanding game from Aidan Chiles. But when you look at it like that, he had 2.5 seconds on 77% of his dropbacks. Maybe it's not too shabby at all. Now, guys, we are going to keep talking about this offensive line. We're going to talk about rotation with Johnson, which Jonathan Smith directly spoke about at today's media availability. But first, I need to talk everyone's ears off about 5-hour energy. And my God, are we going to need some 5-hour energy in 2 weekends for this 11 p.m. kickoff coming up, Michigan State versus USC. But until then, guys, hey, you can still fuel up with 5-hour energy transfusion. The great ginger and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of the golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. Guys, perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power through your day or a super late kickoff, it is 5-Hour Energy Transfusion that is delivering the clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. We got it, guys. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. Lord knows I love all three of those on a golf course. The great ginger lime flavor 5-Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or chasing down the beverage cart. And now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for 2 to any golf tournament in the USA. Tee up that trip. Visit 5hewin.com for rules and entry details. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters Tournament, ends October 31st, 2025. Also, guys, FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, they kept me busy and, more importantly, entertained over the weekend, whether it was college football Saturday, NFL Week 1 kicking off. My Lions looked absolutely outstanding on Sunday, but outside of that, hey, at least FanDuel kept it a happy moment because, hey, we hit a few on FanDuel on Sunday, and guys, you can too, especially if you're a new customer. When you hit a bet, it's going to get even sweeter for you because new customers can bet just $5, and if that bet wins, you will get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Guys, you know that I love the same game parlays. Came very close to getting one for the Michigan State game over the weekend. Silly me, the only leg I lost was under Nikai Frazier, 50 rushing yards. He, of course, shattered that roof, so my bad for doubting Nikai Frazier. I really thought that they'd go to Brandon Toulis a little more that game. Nevertheless, guys, are you ready to play? Are you ready to call your shots? Maybe that you know everything about Michigan State football to the point where you will ace the same game parlay? Download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That is FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Again, guys, FanDuel.com. Now, let's keep talking about the offensive line, the numbers that we saw, and, hey, just some thoughts from your head coach, Jonathan Smith. Now, if you like Pro Football Focus's grades, which, like I do sometimes, especially when they're happy grades about Michigan State, we highlighted last week that Nikai Frazier was the second-best Big Ten graded running back after his game against Western. It's fun. Now, there's sometimes the numbers aren't so fun, like they were for your left tackle, Stanton Ramil, okay? He was graded on Pro Football Focus, 34.2. There's no way to sugarcoat that. There's no way to slice it. In the world of Pro Football Focus numbers, that's horrific. Look, hey, I'm still not out on Stanton Ramil. I think that might be slightly a harsh grade. By no means was it a good game for him on Saturday night. But he really did have a strong end to his year last year. I'm actually a little puzzled that it's been this slow of a start in 2 games for Stanton Ramil, who, by the way, gave up 6 pressures. 6 out of the 10 pressures for the team. He had those 2 penalties, but you know what? He did have some good moments, though. I thought in the run blocking game, he had some good blocks to keep Aidan Chiles upright. Definitely a reason why he had so much time to throw, oftentimes during the game. But yes, Stanton Ramil, we're going to put a pin in that one to see, is this just a slow start to the season? Is this a slump? Or is this actually trending to be something? We'll see what kind of answers we can get against Youngstown State. If he struggles against the Penguins, obviously we're going to start sounding alarms. But unfortunately, it's a situation where, hey, if he does look good against the Penguins, yeah, that's your job. You're supposed to, as a starting left tackle at a Power 4 team, look pretty good in FCS opponents. So fortunately, to grade him out here for this upcoming weekend, it's a no-win proposition that he's got. But yeah, we got our eye on Stanton Ramil. But yeah, just tough grade from him. Now, this has been a conversation here after the first week when Michigan State rotated a lot of offensive linemen. And I get it. They have a lot of depth. They brought in some transfers. They have the injury to Luka Vincic. What's going to happen week 2? Surely they're going to button things up, right? Well, not so much. They actually had 8 guys on that offensive line, each log double-digit snaps. Now, leading the party, Matt Golden, 70 snaps. Stanton Ramil had 59 snaps. Caleb Carter, 53 snaps. Connor Moore, 50 snaps. Big Dooley Christian Phillips, 39 snaps. Ashton Lepo, 31 snaps. Luka Vincic, 31 snaps. And then Gavin Brocious, 17 snaps. So that's also 7 guys with at least 30 snaps. You also had Connor Moore not just playing the right tackle, but also going over to the other side and playing a handful of snaps. I think it was a dozen-ish snaps over at left tackle too. And I get it. Hey, it sounds easy. Right tackle, left tackle. They're both the same position, just opposite sides. That is quite difficult in the world of offensive line play. And don't take it from me. former and current offensive linemen talk about it all the time. But yeah, it doesn't really bother me that much that they've been rotating a lot, but it does make me arch an eyebrow that they're bringing Connor Moore to both ends of the field. But then again, if Stanton Ramil is kind of struggling, yeah, what else are you going to do? Anyway, Jonathan Smith, the guy that's more primed to talk about this, he gave a few quotes, and we're going to shout out Emmett Matazowski, does great work over at Spartan Shadows. He was at media availability today. He is always on fire at tweeting out these quotes. So this is from Jonathan Smith on the offensive line rotation. Quote, "You will continue to see a rotation this week on the offensive line. You need depth in the conference slate we are heading into. We have to continue to grow for both Stanton Ramil and Connor Moore." And then also went on to say, "We have to see a player be better for sure to give them 60, 75 reps on the offensive line. They have to win Tuesday, Wednesday, competition all week. Until then, we will continue to rotate." So for those guys that were good enough this week to play at least 60 snaps, that's only one guy. That's your center, Matt Golbin, the stud transfer, who has been everything that we have built him up to be so far in 2 games. He got, again, 70 snaps, but I don't know. We're going to have a conversation about this with Stephen Brooks tomorrow on the show. Just his thoughts on the offensive line rotation, because on one hand, I would like to see continuity, but on the other, there still is a competition going on. It pretty clearly seems to be. So I don't think they're doing it just for the hell of it, just because it's fun to do. I think that they are still trying to iron some things out. But let's switch sides here, because, hey, that was a lot of offensive talk. Let's talk about the defensive side of the ball. We're going to get to pass rush. We're going to get to, hey, why didn't they blitz, and why maybe Joe Rossi really had the adjustment of the game here in the second half, if not the fourth quarter. But, guys, before we start talking about the pass rush, listing off concerns and everything, let's talk about, good news, good things that happen. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer about the pass rush just the entire season, because while it is a question mark, while I'm still not sold on it, hey, Jalen Thompson, here's your highest graded defender on Pro Football Focus. Also, just beyond the numbers, let's talk about what we saw with our eyeballs. Cam Williams, one of the late additions in the transfer portal out of Georgia State. Guys, after Michigan State tied it late in the game, on second down, he got to the quarterback. He got to Dylan Lonergan very quickly, and it's not like Dylan panicked. He just made sure he got rid of that ball behind the line of scrimmage to Lewis Bond, who by the time poor Bond caught it, he was 1-on-4 against black and white Michigan State jerseys. So that set up for a 3rd and long. Boston College could not convert. That is thanks to Cam Williams' pressure. And it is not lost with us that Alex Van Sumeren, hey, as great as that pass from Chiles to Omari Kelly in the 2-point conversion was, that's when all the fireworks go off. That's when the game was won. Alex Van Sumeren deserves a gold star by his name. And actually, he did get defensive MVP honors from Michigan State football, because his pressure on the 2-point conversion try from Boston College, he absolutely rushed Lonergan. It was good defense by Omarion Smith, too, to back that pass down, but he had Dylan Lonergan scrambling, which Dylan did not do a lot of in this game. Again, we got a pretty big conversation about the pass rush coming up here, but Alex Van Sumeren absolutely needs his flowers, needs his accolades, because for that one play, well, that kept it a 6-point game, and all MSU had to do was quite simply score a touchdown and get that 2-point conversion. So shout out to AVS. Now, with that said, I'm still concerned about the pass rush, and I understand it. I've read some of the comments. I watched the game too, guys. I'm not silly. I'm not stupid, contrary to what many of you guys believe. But Dylan Lonergan does get the ball out quickly, and we knew this going in. This isn't just what we saw in the Fordham game. This is what you've seen from Bill O'Brien wherever he's been a coach. They love themselves a nice short, intermediate passing game, okay? But still, you ended your game, according to Pro Football Focus, and I'm actually shocked it was this many pressures, to be honest, with 12 pressures, 0 sacks, of course, and you only hit the quarterback once. That was Anelu Lafayette, who also had a sack last week against Western Michigan. He's the lone guy to even put a hand on Dylan Lonergan. Now, the week prior against Western Michigan, 17 pressures. Not great. So, look, we're going to continue this conversation. I do want to talk about how Joe Rossi made the adjustment of the game on Saturday night here. But first, I need to talk all your ears off about Game Time. That's right, the greatest ticketing app out there, guys. And I get it. These games are tough, but getting tickets to some of these games on some of those sites out there can make it even more of a battle than the game itself, unless you're using Game Time, because this is not one of these ticketing apps that, hey, cool, $40 tickets. That's great. Let me just have 56 taps, go to 100 different web pages, and why are these tickets $149 now? Where did all these fees come from? No, guys, with Game Time, not only are you going to find great seats for a great value, thanks to their zone deals or last-minute deals, but it's going to take 2 taps on your phone, and you're actually going to pay the upfront price of what it tells you. I know, foreign concept with a lot of ticketing apps out there, but not with Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, guys, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, so this pass rush issue, guys, I understand. Dylan Lonergan gets the ball out quick, okay? I will also, going along with hearing those comments, I've been seeing it with my own eyes, I will also not be gaslit into thinking that the lack of pressure on Saturday was just a byproduct of Boston College's offense, just because Dylan Lonergan is so good at getting the ball out. No, guys, he had 45 pass attempts. I get it. And 24 of those pass attempts came within 10 yards. Okay, so what is that math? More than half of those were, quick, under 10-yard throws. Okay. But it's not just me just freaking out on my own couch at home, right? Like Todd Blackledge, the color commentator of this game, kept mentioning how there is a lack of pressure. That guy's seen a lot of football. How about that shot of Joe Rossi in the second half? He looked like he could use a carton of cigarettes because he was so stressed and wondering how the hell are we ever going to get pressure on Dylan Lonergan. I tried blitzing in the first half. Our 4-man rush can't do it, guys. It's not just me freaking out. Joe Rossi didn't look comfortable with it. The guy calling the game didn't look great with it. So, yeah, it is a thing, guys. And you might be saying to yourselves, well, why didn't Michigan State blitz? Maybe that was the issue, especially in the second half. And why didn't they just go after him with 5 guys, with 6 guys, with 7 guys? And actually the reason for that might be why Michigan State won. Because Pro Football Focus tells you, and also when you watch the game, I kind of noticed this just in the moment too, that, okay, in the first half, well, they were sending a lot of blitzes. Guys, the whole game, Joe Rossi sent 16 blitzes to Boston College, okay? 16 blitzes on 48 dropbacks. Of those 16 blitzes, and I just counted this by hand when I was rewatching last night, 1 blitz in the fourth quarter is all I counted. Now, maybe I miscounted because, I can't count high numbers. Maybe it was 2 blitzes, okay? Point stands, they barely blitzed Lonergan in the fourth quarter. And I think that helped Michigan State win the game. Now, this is counterintuitive. We're talking out of both sides of our mouth. How can they not get any pass rush? But also, why weren't they blitzing more? And how did it make them win the game? Well, you take a guy out of the middle when you blitz. And point blank, it wasn't getting home when Michigan State did blitz. So Joe Rossi made the adjustment. We're going to keep our linebackers in this intermediate area because we also had a little bit of a tackling issue too in the first half. Not only were we getting beat on our routes, not only were we setting up our safeties for failure by blitzing and never getting home on the blitzes, but we're just going to add a body here. Make Lonergan throw into tighter windows. Make sure that, hey, when Boston College does catch the ball, we're going to have 1 extra hat back there to mitigate the damage that they did plenty of in the first half. So they scaled back the blitzes. The only time they blitzed in the fourth quarter, actually it was a disaster because it did go for 12 yards on a drag route to Bond because no one was there to tackle him. And you already know it, no one even got home to the quarterback. They blitzed twice in overtime, interestingly enough, and both of those went for big gains. So by not blitzing, even though they couldn't get pressure on the quarterback, Joe Rossi said to himself, okay, screw it. This is just going to drive us up a wall of letting him have some time to throw the ball. But at least when he does it, it's going to be disruptive in tight windows, and we are going to be there to tackle immediately whenever they catch the ball. Michigan State, guys, they only gave up 6 points in the second half. I think that's an adjustment that went a far way with this team. Annoying to watch in the moment, and I'm still very questionable and suspect on the pass rush here. We can't be doing this all year where we just, are counting on the 4-man rush. But for this game, when they're getting the ball out quick, when at times you're playing with 2 of your backup safeties, it was smart to not blitz and just keep an extra guy back in that intermediate area. So tip of the hat to Joe Rossi. Not playing with, the most elite pass rush, but still getting it done. And speaking of the safety position, guys, Nikai Martinez was spoken about today at media availability. They said that he's going to be closer than he has ever been at returning to the field. When he is cleared to play, he will play in a game. And of course, this is from an injury that he sustained back in the spring. So this has been a longer-term injury. They don't want to rush him back. I'd be surprised if they rush him back this Saturday. But point blank, he's got to come back soon. Not to, just be a soft little podcaster at the other end of a webcam that's not playing in these games, not taking the hits, not being injured. It's just saying, please get back as soon as you are healthy and ready to play, because Omarion Smith, and look, we're going to be fair to him. Team high, 73 snaps. He had 8 tackles, amongst the most on the team, and he had that great pass breakup to end the game for Boston College offensively on that 2-point conversion try, okay? Also in the first half, and this was also a byproduct of blitzing, passing a lot of responsibility and coverage off to Omarion Smith, but he was targeted 6 times, gave up 6 receptions for 90 yards. That's what Pro Football Focus is saying, and I'm going to be honest, it looks like that in the moment too. Omarion Smith was having a tough night back there, until the second half when they, reeled back the blitzes like we just talked about. And Jonathan Smith gave a tip of the cap to Omarion too. He said, quote, "He is playing well. He had a couple of huge plays, but also we are anxious to get Nikai Martinez back." You need the starting safety back, guys. I mean, look, am I saying Omarion Smith is trash? No, not by any stretch of the imagination. I just think that 73 snaps, that's asking a lot from your backup safety. All right, you're going to need a guy that led the defense in snaps last year in Nikai Martinez, back manning that role. That's going to make everyone a lot happier. All right, guys, before we let you go, I just got a riff on this kickoff time that was announced not too long ago. 11 p.m. kickoff against USC on Fox in a few weeks. And I know that nothing is sacred in college sports anymore. I know that no one cares about student athletes or their well-being. But 11 p.m., when I saw that graphic tweeted out by Michigan State, when I saw 11, I thought, oh, that's weird, 11 a.m. Why would they do that? And then common sense settled in. 11 p.m. That is going to be the latest kickoff time for Michigan State, I believe, I'm almost positive on this, since 2004 when they faced Hawaii in early December. That game kicked off at 11:30 p.m. That was also in Hawaii, though. I mean, much more reasonable. It was in a bowl game against the Rainbow Warriors out there. A lot of people said the Arizona State game is very reminiscent of that. Even that game didn't kick off as late as this one will, and that's assuming that everything goes on time in 2 weeks. But look, I'm not going to lie. I'm a sick puppy. I kind of like this every once in a while. Just some nice Spartans after dark. It is way too late. You're going to be delirious in the middle of the night. But, hey, it's just like a fun, quirky thing to do. We will be on the live show after that game, probably at 3 in the morning. That's going to be an awesome time. But, man, do I want this every single week? Absolutely not. But, hey, this is the hand we're dealt. And in life, when you're gifted lemons, don't make anything sour out of it. Let's make some lemonade together. Okay, let's actually embrace this. Some Spartans after dark. Get the 5-hour energy shots in. Maybe stack some cold brew coffee on top of that. I don't know. If you guys are into Four Loko, let's just cut loose and really have a good night. But woo, 11 p.m. against USC. Man, isn't this a fun era of college sports? I like it. I hope it's the only one this season. But, whew, my goodness gracious, I would be remiss if I did not talk about just how flatly absurd that is to end this show. All right, guys, we will be back tomorrow with the one, the only Stephen Brooks of 24/7 Sports, and then Chase Glasser later this week to talk all things X's and O's, what he's seen the first 2 weeks, and then we're going to get you ready for this Youngstown game on Saturday, Spartan Stadium at a reasonable time. All right, guys, but until then, take care of yourselves. Love you all. Go Green.